This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Mark. And on this episode of Side Projects, I am joined once again by London's Modern Guilt, or at least most of them. Scott, Jazz, and Andreas are joined by their producer, Mikey Buckley of Desert Ships. Missing during this recording are Dan and Glyn. And Glyn is especially missing as he has left the band. But they tell me it was on good terms. We'll see about that. But that situation actually factors into the topic of this episode, the importance of building solid foundations. The band talks about having 3 foundational core members who do the writing, while the other 1 or 2 members, depending on what time we're referencing, supplement that. And that foundation is evident in the trust that they all have, not only in each other, but also with Mikey. That's why they can do a guitar solo by committee, or let Mikey let them know when a song needs to stay vulnerable and stripped down. The foundation of Modern Guilt's first EP, You're Welcome, has allowed the band to be more experimental and exploratory on the new EP, We'll Always Have Vegas. It sounds more like the band than the bands they were influenced by. We also talk about t-shirts, borrowing things from the Stone Roses, and the effective use of space. So follow these guys at Modern Guilt Official on social media. Go to their Bandcamp page and buy the EPs. If you're able to, go see a show. Follow us at Performance ANX on socials. Support the podcast with coffee money at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety or by buying merch at performanceanx.threadless.com. Now let's talk about solid foundations with Modern Guilt on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
How's that doing?
How's that, Mark?
That's fantastic.
Okay,
Let's
see,
do that.
I'm a natural problem solver.
Let's do.
Oh, man. I'm jealous of the beer. I gave it up for Lent, so I'm not...
Oh, man. Well done.
It's not easy.
Well, one day. One day.
Let me try to move my picture down so I can see, but there we go. All right. Awesome. Okay, so this has been a long time coming. It's been a while since you guys were on last.
It feels like yesterday.
Oh. Well, I look back, it was the last episode was released in August of 2021, mid-August.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
What's up?
We've gone from strength to strength in that just 3 years. So obviously the arena tour, the Grammy.
Yep.
And the knighthood. And then so we thought we'd just, come back to the basics and release a 5-track EP.
Was it OBE or CBE?
MBE.
MBE.
Yeah.
I thought it was a C3PO.
Oh, thanks.
Oh,
yeah.
That's the gold knighthood.
The gold knighthood.
So,
speaking of,
so you guys have been kind of busy recently.
Well, yeah.
It feels all right. So you guys came on back in 2021 with the first EP that you did, You're Welcome, which I still love that title. I can't even explain why. I just love it. It's just like, yeah, here's our music. You're welcome.
So cocky, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. That's it. It's cocky.
Yeah, because I think, yeah, and that's kind of the whole thing, because it can mean so many different things as well. Because if someone thanks you for something, you should go, "Oh, you're welcome." It can be a really nice response. And I think we said when we spoke to you the first time is that we actually came up with that title long before we had the material for the EP.
Yeah,
we just thought when we do it, that's what it will be called.
That's awesome. We're also joined by Mikey Buckley. Now, are you Mikey Buckley from Desert Ships?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I like that band a lot. I've only recently discovered you guys, but I love Monkfish.
Don't you all have homes to go to? No one here has faces unknown. Here we go again. In and out of time.
And I have a question before we get into too many things. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Fire on the Moon video.
Yeah.
Okay. there's a shot where it kind of looks like, all right, so you know how when people are abducted by aliens or claim to be abducted by aliens, there's a lot of probing and shit going on. There's one scene where it kind of looks like maybe you and someone else are turning the tables on somebody in an alien outfit, maybe probing them. What is going on in that video? Because there's one point where some guy in a silver suit is bent over and you guys are kind of like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. It was filmed on the roof of this pub that I live above.
Okay.
And that thing that we were chucking him down is the hatch. It's like a rickety wooden ladder.
Okay.
And the director Gil's idea was that by chucking him down there, it's like chucking him down a psychedelic black hole, and at the bottom of it, you end up in this mad little Alice in Wonderland world. So that was us just chucking him down the hole. There was no probing.
Okay. Because he kind of bent over the hole.
Open to interpretation.
Well, Freud would have a field day on your question.
Yeah.
Hey, it's I'm nothing if not Freudian.
Just being a bit mad, really.
It's awesome. I thought maybe it was because he's kind of bent over the hole, and so now it makes sense you guys are trying to push him down, but it just kind of looks like maybe I just listened to too many podcasts with aliens and shit.
Or what they didn't realize is that no matter what the intention was, what it actually looked like was the anal investigation of an alien on a pub roof.
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah.
Then it was a little on the nose.
Well,
by the prods, aren't they? Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it.
I did, man. I love the band is fantastic. I love the music, but I just had that question because, like I said, I guess I'm just listening to too many podcasts about alien probings at this point, and that's the first thing that popped into my head was, turnabout's fair play.
Yeah.
You capture an alien, you have every right to just probe them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm told.
Yeah, all right. I'm glad we all agree.
This high praise of desert ships, it's going to be a hard act to follow just to come back down from Modern Guilt.
It is. It is.
You'll be fine.
That's enough about you. More about me.
So this is just kind of picking up where we left off on the last episode. That's more about jazz.
Yeah. Night Jazz Odyssey. Yeah.
The first question I have about Modern Guilt, since you guys have been on before, and anybody who isn't familiar with the band who listens needs to go back and listen to the first episode with Modern Guilt, because we do a deep dive into each of you guys and your history, how you got into music and how the three of you met and formed the band. And also, we're not going to go back over that. There's no point in doing a repeat. So I want to kind of pick up a little bit where we left off. And I want to find out a little bit more about the other guys, because they're never here. I don't know if they actually exist. Glyn and Dan, they're just are they real people, or is it just a way for you guys?
Much real. They're kind of they're a feeling.
Oh,
they're a kind of vibe. No,
more the mood.
I'm getting the Glyns right now. Got a bit of the Glyns.
So Glyn they're both very real, substantial material individuals. And Glyn, in fact, one of his nicknames was Mr. Goodtime, which there was a story that Glyn told us about him going to Mexico, which inspired the song How to Buy Happiness.
Oh, awesome. All right, well, we'll definitely get into that.
So yeah, they're not here. So recently, actually, Glyn is Our Lady of the Side projects, and he has many things going on. And he has recently compassionately, uncoupled. What was it that Gwyneth Paltrow and consciously uncoupled with us? Yeah, which is a real shame because obviously we wrapped up this EP and obviously he was recording on it. He's played all the shows and it's been huge. And he's now moving off to pursue one of his many other projects and leaving us his dust.
Well, okay. So that kind of, oddly enough, kind of factors into what this episode is about, because I wanted to make the focus of this more about building the band, because we've got the core trio here, the three guys that I know as Modern Guilt, because Dan hasn't come on yet. And obviously, fuck Glyn. So... We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Before you skip over this ad, give me 1 minute. Like most podcasts, I pick sponsors carefully and I use the products that advertise here. Pure Spectrum CBD is a product that has been really beneficial for me. They have a wide variety of great products that can be used on a daily or as needed basis. I've been using the tincture every day and it's been wonderful for easing anxiety. And I absolutely love the isolate. I use it instead of acetaminophen or ibuprofen, and it's worked so well for the relief of aches and pains. They also have soaks, lotions, salves, gummies, and more, plus an entire line for fitness recovery. They even have products for your pets. See everything they offer at purespectrumcbd.com. And if you have questions, they're there to help. They helped me when I had no idea where to start. After you fill your cart, use code PerformanceANX for 15% off your purchase. Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD. I want to know a little bit about how you build things when you guys have a core members. You've got 3 guys. Dan, to my knowledge, exists now. And how did you guys find, and how are you going to go about finding somebody to play keys now, a bass player to fit with the band? When you've got a core like you guys have, what are you looking for as far as additional players to supplement? Are you looking for people to be permanent members or to be quote unquote touring members, or what are you guys looking for basically? I
think we've worked over the last couple of years with myself, Jazz, Andreas, write the tracks together. We purposely went down this route of keeping it us as a core to simplify things, having been in bands previously, and when you've got 5 or more people, all have to be at rehearsal, all have to have an input on writing and all this, and it can make things take longer and confusion and all this. So I think it was firstly to simplify things, and when we got our kind of first batch of material ready, it was, well, we need people to make this be able to play live. So, having Dan and Glyn involved as well, which is great. So we can give them the material to learn, and they're very much able to adapt the parts if they want when we get in the rehearsal room. But we've had other people as well fill in on bass or things.
Yeah. They're still trying to persuade me to have someone else fill in on vocals, man. Yeah. And, so it's worked really great. And then I suppose with Mikey sat next to me here, he's been our producer, recording us. Well, we've really trained him.
It's the other way around. Really,
Mikey's done a lot of things. He's done some technical work for us, some sound engineering work for us. We then let him come in on bass for a live show.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So we really gave him the space to prove himself.
Very kind of you guys.
Yeah, but I have to say though, like having somebody that we all knew from a long time ago. Me and Scott's known Mikey now for, where's it?
15 years, probably.
Since they were about 12, Mark.
Yeah, we were very close back then. We played in London, stingy London venues when we just came to London, like 2009, something like that.
Mm.
So we known Mikey for a long time, and having somebody that is as good as Mikey is at what he's doing, that isn't like a foreign influence coming in, lording over us and telling us this sounds like shit. Right. But you have Mike basically saying, guys, you might need to think about this. And then us obviously listening to a friend who's actually friend.
Yeah, and he's kind of come on board as like live guitarist as well, kind of doing a lot of what Jazz's parts were originally, and it set Jazz free to dance like an idiot.
Wiggly spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's all in the hips,
All
Mark.
the hips, yeah.
It
Yeah,
is.
sex sells.
Yeah.
And that is the response that we generally get from the audience.
True. I can. I imagine. Yeah. Okay. With the additional players, are you looking for guys that are more like the Chuck Leavell and Daryl Jones of the Stones, guys that have been there forever but actually aren't Stones?
I think this is the thing. I think in terms of writing the kind of the core structures around the song, like Scott was saying, it's about trying to navigate just the three of us and our different input and what we kind of envision for a track. So as soon as you throw in two more people, then you can get to a point where no decision is ever made and people get really disappointed if, their vision of it isn't gone with. So once we've put together the, I guess the approach behind the song, the kind of the structure, the arrangement, we then go into the room long before we've put together a demo and started to really finesse it. And we get the other musicians to be like, look, these are the parts, and now riff on them and see what else comes up and add bits. And they do, when we're, especially in the rehearsal room, this is why it's so valuable. They do add in and they bring their style to what we might have written. And then they put their accent on it and it develops into something else entirely. But if we were to have that right in from the beginning, it's just more complicated dynamics. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the,
I've got a massive ego, Mark.
I can tell. I mean, I think the last time we recorded,
I feel seen and I feel hurt, and that's why I'm here.
well, that's why we get along so well. Because anyway, because I believe the last time we did this, you were late as well.
Oh, not me.
No, that was
Andreas was late.
Was it Andre? Okay.
Always late.
There's always one.
Well, I didn't. Well, hey, look, I'm happy because I didn't even expect him to be here. So.
Neither did I.
Well, I'm never late, nor am I early. I'm always here exactly when I'm supposed to.
I like
Thanks,
that.
Alice.
Scandal. Same.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's the same vibe. Gandalf, Alice in Wonderland.
Same book, really.
Vibe. Yeah. So what we're looking for in terms of them, it's also that in terms of what we commit to in organising people's schedules. The three of us can be hard enough getting us all together and making sure that we all do what we need to do, and then you throw in two more people. So like Scott was saying, just to get stuff done and to move forward. Otherwise, the other thing is when we get five of us in a room, we have a good old catch up, we have a good old natter. We'll chat about, Rolling Stones deep cuts, and then we'll realise we're out of time.
Well, that's always a danger. You get so many guys, and if you actually get along, it's might be hard to get down to business.
Yeah.
You guys have been working and are about to release a new EP, and this is the second one produced by Mikey. So before we get into the actual EP itself, I've got some questions for Mikey. I mean, because you hear producer and you hear all, production credits, executive producers, right? Just produce. What does a producer do? And I mean, especially with these guys, how hard, what does a producer actually do on an album?
Speaking of herding cats.
Yeah.
I think there are many ways to describe a producer with music. Sometimes it could just be looking after budgets. Sometimes it could be like managing the studio day. Sometimes it could be going down as like making someone rewrite verse 3 of a song. You know what I mean? That kind of, or switching middle eights out, that kind of thing. And anywhere in between. Choosing sounds, choosing palettes, microphones, size of rooms, desks, sonics, talking about albums you like that you want to reference sonically. I like the snare drum on that. I like the guitar on that. So all of these, we have a lot of conversations before we go in, about stuff that we are liking and hearing the EP or what song to sound like. But then it's also an ongoing thing because Scott and I sit up to the early hours of the morning a lot, listening to records and talking about production. So, and there's music being fired back and forth. I think at the beginning there was a playlist you guys put together for me, didn't you? Yeah. Of stuff. So Yeah,
just to get
that's the really long answer. The producer does all of that stuff. With these guys, it was I didn't need to go in and say that verse sounds like shit, or I think they write really well and they arrange really well. So it was more a case of like bringing their vision out.
Yeah, and I guess
and enhancing that vision sonically with choice of preamps and microphones.
Oh, so yeah, you're helping to shape it.
Choosing amp settings as well. Like, I mean, I'm a guitar player originally.
Yeah.
It's my first, it might be like, let's clean that amp up a bit, jazz or whatever. Let's do that, or let's, that kind of thing. Or Andreas, turn that amp down, please. It's really loud.
When I turn it down, I meant turn it down.
Yeah. So those kind of things.
So you're kind of a jack of all trades, really.
Yeah.
The way that I see you work with us, especially, I don't know how you work with other bands that you might produce and work with. I mean, it hurts that you work with other bands, but that's fine. Man's got to make a living. It ebbs. It's like connective tissue between everything. So it ebbs and flows based on what's needed. So at the beginning, when we're putting together ideas for the tracks before we go into the studio, it very much looks like building, like, what is our vision? What does it sound like? Making sure the reference is there. Mikey then thinks about all the equipment that would best suit that, the practicalities of the recording, so that we don't have to worry about that. So that we, in all our sort of childlike ignorance, can like float around in a studio and someone can wail away on a guitar with 200 pedals for 45 minutes.
You shouldn't do that.
And the thing about it is that won't push us out of time because it's all being considered by Mikey. And so he also keeps us
the schedule of the day.
Keeping on track time-wise is actually a massive part of being a producer, because budgets, you've got X amount of time in the studio, the budget, and you've got to achieve a certain amount of stuff by the end of that day. And then figuring out the best order of doing things. With regards to overdubs, considering what seems to be a slightly weird way that bands, when they overdub, they leave the vocals right to the end of the day when that singer's been talking all day, so their voice is tired. It never made any sense to me. So and I'm not singling out Jazzy, that just seems to be what happens. The vocals are like the last thing, and it's like, but they're the most important thing in the song, and everything supports the vocal. So you should get the vocal sung down on tape earlier than later. So we made a point of doing that, shifting it to the middle of the day rather than doing it at 7 o'clock at night.
Well, that's fantastic.
Cigarettes and coffee for 12 hours.
And Jazz just keeps talking and talking.
I'm not being specific to Jazzy.
But it is very specific to me, Mark. I talk all day, I slam coffee and I smoke cigarettes. And then when we're pushed for time as well, and it's 6, 7 o'clock, and I'm also a little bit tired because I've been in a studio for the last 10 hours. And it's like, I could just really do with some fresh air. And then it's like, right, you need to get these vocal lines perfect, and you need to nail them down in the next 40 minutes. So it's not a kind of I need to be relaxed, Mark.
You do, and that's where the cigarettes come in, right?
Yeah. So it's a bit of a tightrope that Mikey has to be the stabilizing wheels for.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I never really thought about that, to be honest with you. Like, the stuff that goes on outside and before the session that can affect a singer's vocals. That's fascinating. I never even thought that's okay. So that's Mikey's just, proving his mettle right there. So, all right, he can stay on.
God.
He's in.
And look, don't get me wrong, there will be many, many singers who have like proper vocal warm-ups and, vocal training and are actually technically good singers that wouldn't have to be a consideration for. I'm more of a wing and a prayer kind of guy.
Nice.
We got to open our boundaries.
Yeah.
I mean, if budgets were greater, I would probably just shift vocals to another day. It just makes sense. In the morning, you have a couple of cups of coffee when we go in. If we're trying to get a song done in a day, then it's just about working the best way to get them done. And if all the overdubs support the vocal, then in theory, the vocal should be in the track before the overdubs.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, it's all about me, Mark.
It is.
I would like to say to Mikey's credit, actually, it is all of that. But I mean, it's also the fact that we are very much like musically on the same wavelength. So it's like a lot of things that normally you would have to explain to somebody that you don't really know that well for a very long time, and they still might get wrong and he will give you a weird kind of setting. He will make you sound kind of weird, and you don't really have that. You know, I'm like, I want to be a bit like that, and you're like, got it.
Yeah, having listened to a lot of the same records and a lot of records forever and a day, it's just this sort of library of sounds you have in your head.
Yeah, I mean,
so someone references the vocal sound on that or the guitar sound on that is probably, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can turn it quick and you're not fucking around with like technical stuff. You're just getting on with the creative thing.
Basically.
So that's where the familiarity between you guys is really helpful then, I imagine. It cuts down on studio time trying to figure out what the band is trying to find.
Up to 6 a.m. with Scott talking about.
Why are you saying like
What is that? Is that you guys do the hard rock?
We do the hard rock.
You do
Have you heard the production on this? Have you heard the production on that?
You know, it's the thing that the people don't see.
Yeah.
That's you at 6 a.m.
We're not in class. It's about the notes you don't play.
Yeah.
I'm forever not hearing jazz.
Well, you're trying more and more.
Well, you guys are set to release a new EP, and we'll always have Vegas. And I've had a chance to listen to it. Thank you guys. And I gotta say, it's a big step from your welcome. Forward. We'll just say forward, not backwards.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. I thought with Elon, I'd better clarify.
Yeah, it's not a fall from grace.
But I hear it, you know, kind of like you guys are the foundation of the band itself, and you'll add Dan and whoever's filling in for the keyboardist we're not going to mention anymore. You guys are the foundation, and those guys will help build upon what you guys have laid down. I feel like the new EP is that compared to the first one. You've built a great foundation with your welcome, and now with We'll Always Have Vegas, you're kind of sounding more like yourselves, and everything is kind of expanding for you. It's a great sound. I can hear Modern Guilt in it, hear the last EP, but I hear so much more, and it sounds like there's a through line or a story behind it. All the songs are cohesive and work together. Was that the plan? Is it supposed to be a storyline for the EP? Don't all speak up at once.
We don't have our individual answer to that.
I get very self-conscious that I dominate the conversational piece, Mark, but, you know, like I said...
No, I think you should go take this one down.
Go on, go for it.
So there's within that question, there's so much that you said, and a conversation that we had together right at the beginning was focusing on doing EPs gives us more space to move the sound as we go through, rather than committing to an album and discovering halfway through that actually we want to move in a completely different direction.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So like you said, looking at these two EPs, there is the core sound, but this second one has really moved and it's taken on new elements and sort of a different definition. And I really feel like it's a much bigger, richer sound than You're Welcome.
I agree, 100%.
Great. We can do it in it.
Yeah.
We've been pushing some boundaries here and there, and it's like, punk rock is fun as fuck, but you don't have to do it every day.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
So I think that the fact is that whenever we're in a thing of writing, there is holding in the back of my mind the fact that we are building a set of tracks for something. The story can sometimes be like the position I am at my life. So naturally, everything that I write falls within this framework of a narrative. And a lot of the time, I'm not even highly aware of what I'm doing. But if I were to look back over my writing over the last 6 months, it all very much comes under like 2 or 3 kind of archetypal approaches to songs.
Okay.
And with this, what I realized really, really early on when creating the tracks was that there was a core focus, and the core focus was about loneliness, and it was about chasing something.
Well, Vegas is good for that.
Yeah. For me, I have this weird, it's like a sort of debauched Mecca. So like Vegas is like, I've never been. So it can stay in all of its wonderful like purity for me as just an idea, a fantasy.
Yeah.
but it is, it is
Babylon, really.
Yeah, it's where you can go and do absolutely whatever you want within 20 minutes of getting out the car. And it can get real weird real fast. And it's in the middle of the desert. It's a really surreal thing. It's like a sort of, a dry Atlantis. But so this was
what you call it.
So,
Or
so
Atlantis is a wet Vegas.
wet Vegas. Oh,
That's an FCP.
that's the right kind of Vegas.
Remix EP.
We'll always have Atlantis.
So basically, Vegas in itself, for me, really encapsulates both those two feelings, that feeling of loneliness and the feeling of constantly chasing something. So it made sense for me to start angling towards what that kind of bell curve looks like of touching down in Vegas and getting a bit weird with it.
Okay. I like that. I like it. So, Scott and Andreas, did you guys approach the EP differently from a musical perspective compared to You're Welcome?
I guess, I think we mentioned this before, but extra percussions was one of my...
More drums.
one of my favorites.
The jazz of drums.
So about that, just to give context for that, Mark, one day in the studio, we spent about 3.5 hours because Scott came in with a box
I bought everything.
of every conceivable percussion instrument or instrument that could be used as percussion. And he proceeded to record every single one of them to kind of create a library. This was down in Birmingham. Do you remember? He had the one shot.
They had the goat balls. The rice in the goat balls as well.
Yeah.
Do you know how many of those picks we actually used on that fucking track?
Yeah. One. And then and Scott was like, no, it's great because we'll have a library of percussion sounds that we can then use and we can bring in whenever we need them.
So we ended up muting most of it for the mix.
But anyway, more drums. Back to you, Scott.
God, I don't know.
Jazz is checking his phone. I like it. Do you need to take that? Do you want to take?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
This is more important to me, Mark. And
Thank you.
drums are a complex piece, and I want to hear more.
I can't remember.
Actually, do you want to finish the thing you were on?
With the last track on the record, Gramophone Remedy, that kind of came together quite recently, actually, and there's not a lot in there. It's quite stripped back. The drums on that, it's like just floor tom, like tambourine, like such a departure from a lot of the other songs on the record, which are quite expansive or have quite a full, thick sound. And I think it's all worked well. It flows really nicely, and there's a nice consistency with the instruments across the record.
Oh, absolutely. Now, before we get into things, I want to show you guys one thing. My wife, for a little bit, well, I'm not going to show you my wife because she's downstairs, but she did something awesome for me for my 50th birthday. My kids are getting older, and two of them have kind of moved out. One's at Penn State in college, and the others is moved down to Southern Virginia. But so she took one of the rooms and turned it into a room for me to do my podcast. It's like in my own studio at this point. And so I'm slowly putting up some artwork. I don't have much of anything except for this mirror that my wife and my son made for me, and an Alabama football pennant. But one of the first things that's getting framed and getting put up.
Hello. Hey, there it is.
I love those guys.
Oh, they're great. That was a great EP,
It was, man. Whatever happened to those guys?
Oh, well, it's the classic rock and roll story, really.
Yeah.
Too much, too young, went to their heads. One of them wanted to, move into the meat business and became a butcher.
It was the Nescafe ads that really sold them out.
Yeah, well, because they fell out over what they call now sinking. When the Nescafe ad came in, there was a big creative fallout.
Big sex scandal as well, I guess.
We said that for your sake, we'd keep that one quiet.
Well, I mean, for your sake, it's actually still legal.
So were you in the alien suit in the Desert Ships video then?
Yes, you see the sheep? I mean,
no comment.
That was our mate Jimmy.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
All makes
Jimmy.
sense. So, all right. So the new EP, we were just talking a little bit about that and the different approach to the music. So Andreas, did you approach the music differently? Did you think of the songs in a different way?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously like coming out of the pandemic, which was like the battleground that we were making the first one in, kind of.
Yeah.
Mostly. And I've had a couple of tough years, actually, personally. A bit of loss and a bit of non-loss, close ones, close calls and no close calls. And it's just been mentally a lot of shit on my mind the last couple of years. And approaching the songs in this has been a lot more of a making songs and making parts for songs, that it's more about healing, I guess. Instead of having that happy anger that you have when you play loud rock and roll, sometimes it's been more of a moody kind of one. And it's just something that happens. And it's a very organic feeling. It's nothing you can really strive against. And it's just having two really good friends that you write with that has been, taking shit with, a lot of patience. And you see, he's welcome. So just having amazing bandmates, really. And also being able to show that in your writing. It's quite fun.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think this EP just kind of breaks boundaries for you guys. It takes the sound from You're Welcome and really shows what you guys can do, I think. Everyone's really stepped up their game. Talking to Myself, was that the first single off of it?
It's the latest single.
Or latest, yeah, that's what I should say.
First track there was a couple of songs we released like last year, but
that's right, like Joy
yeah.
Control. Yeah.
yeah.
You could have been quite something, nothing that they'd ever seen. Breaking hearts like bones in the summer, and breaking hearts through the TV screens. But I think I know you, seen your type before. You wanna kiss the neck of a ghost that you had and hit the floor.
So
Yeah. So I think Joy Control was the first single. So basically, over like the track of releasing the EP, we kind of broke it into two parts. So Joy Control was the first single of the first half of us crafting the EP. And that's when we, based off that and How to Buy Happiness, we really solidified what we were trying to do with this EP. So we released Joy Control as the first song, and then the other three tracks were kind of the second half. Talking to Myself, I Want to Show You God, and Gramophone Remedy. Talking to Myself was kind of the first release of the second half of the EP.
So Joy Control, since that was the first release, I really enjoy that. That I think, and I don't know if this was intentional or subconscious, but so the song's called Joy Control, and I love the guitar solo because it's very controlled. It's not all over the place. I mean, it fits with the song. It's done perfectly. And like I said, I don't know if that was intentional or subconscious, but man, that was awesome.
I think that guitar solo was one of those bespoke pieces that I've had in mind. I remember it was like only a couple of days before we went in the studio. Like I had an idea. I want to do something like this, but I couldn't nail it. So I remember like the day we went in, I was just like, I recorded like 15 different versions and I sent it to your WhatsApp before we went in, and you guys were like, for fuck's sake, Andreas. One. And then I'm like, okay, it's this one. And it was literally this one, because I remember when we made like those specific chords around the guitar solo, it kind of was supposed to work around the guitar solo. So it's not more of a guitar solo more than it is actually the whole band working together, playing a melody. And I think that's very important. It's not necessarily a solo per se. It's a melody. That's
well, okay, yeah. But it's controlled. It's not, like you said, it's not exactly a solo where you're flying off, playing all these scales and stuff. It's very tight. And that's what I loved about it. And it matches the song and the title of the song perfectly.
I think the sound of that solo as well is quite expansive, euphoric. So it really does lift that, section, the whole song.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, because the you have the guitar on the choruses, which is the whole thing with the song is it's not supposed to be heavy moving on, but it's like you have this nice groove to it, and even though it is a distorted guitar, it's not supposed to be overtaking in any kind of way. It's more of never met a girl like you before.
Yeah.
You know, like you have that really heavy guitar sound on a very nice and smooth background.
Yeah.
Autopilots by Queens of the Stone Age is another great guitar song.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love Queens of the Stone Age. Alan Johannes, that's my guy.
Fuck yeah, he's amazing, that guy.
He's a
bass player.
Oh man, he's a buddy of mine. I have to.
No way.
Yeah.
Just dropping.
Just name dropping.
Have you
Well, actually, no.
There's a
send an EP, say that we're open to all sorts of things.
so my favorite on the EP though is I Want to Show You God.
Ooh. Okay.
That song has balls. I love that song. It kind of it's like rooted in 60s rock, like that Norman Greenbaum Spirit in the Sky kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
But then it's got this guitar that's like total 70s arena rock that just comes out of nowhere. I love that
I don't
song.
wanna stay, but I'm ready to go. Wanna tell you things you already know.
And
Yeah, my
okay, so Jazz, we're gonna spotlight on you on this for a second. Is there a bit of a nod at all, and maybe this is just me reading into it, in the lyrics to Stone Roses, I Want to Be Adored?
Yeah. Yeah, massively. I mean, this is the thing. I think a lot of it is the lyrics on the chorus are thinking about those like huge, again, with the same feelings around loneliness and chasing something. That thing, I want to be adored, kind of perfectly fits it. I couldn't think of a better phrase which summed up exactly that. And it's the Stone Roses. So why not? I mean, they're never going to listen to it. So they're never going to know that I've nicked it. But yeah, I always get really conscious that, you know, when I borrow, especially lyrics from someone, and with that, there's no to it. It's unavoidable. You cannot sing that line and people go, oh, that's Stone Roses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it is unavoidable, but it works for the song. The song wouldn't be the same without it.
I agree. The way we wrote that track is actually different to the way that we wrote the others, because Andreas was away when we crafted. We were just in rehearsal, just, you know, I think we were prepping for a show, and we just started messing around and we came up with this idea. And it came together really, really quickly, which is unusual for Andreas, because Andreas is usually a real core part of the inception of a song. So coming back, really uncomfortable, going, what am I going to be doing? Yeah. How am I going to weave my parts into this?
I think it's also the thing you have to learn to sometimes take directions, you know.
How's that going for you?
Fucking hard, man.
But that's his riff part. That was when.
Yeah. So obviously there is interest in it, but I think it's maybe also.
You're all over that record, aren't you? Let's face it.
He is, but in such a different way to the way that.
And it's right. And I said to you at the time, it's a great song anyway, but it's really important for the contrast it gives against the other songs. There's a lot more space in it. It's very dynamic. Yes. Very, very dynamic. And possibly the heaviest song you have.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I would.
It's one of the most
completely agree.
It's one of the most enjoyable to play live.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing about that, and I'm going to pull out How to Buy Happiness as another example, is it really builds on the foundation that you guys laid down with You're Welcome. I mean, with this EP and those two songs in particular, you're playing the singing, the songwriting on You're Welcome was great. But now I'm hearing more than just your influences. You know, it's like with the singing and the lyrics, I'm hearing more of jazz and less of who jazz likes.
That's great.
And in my opinion, that's really hard to do, to find your own voice, and musically, lyrically, vocally. Because I'll give you a perfect example. Tom Petty. From the day I heard Tom Petty to the day he died, I always heard Bob Dylan because he was such a huge Bob Dylan fan. And to me, his sound vocally, he's always emulating Bob Dylan. And so throughout his entire career, everything he did, I was like, I'm imagining Bob Dylan singing it instead of Tom Petty. And now I think, Jazz, you've kind of moved past doing that, where I'm not hearing your influences as much as I'm hearing maybe just how they've influenced you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't really know how I sing. So I don't really go into a track with knowing what my voice is. I basically, throughout most of the writing, I think, what is it that I can do vocally that fits this track the best? And I think that really hit its stride in this EP. And I think, it's great to hear that. It's much better than being like, oh, okay, yeah, so clearly you like that and you like that and you like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with some of the vocal, particularly with I Want to Show You God's Gramophone Remedy, it's almost like the vocal has driven how the song goes. You know what I mean? Rather than sometimes we create the music first and then you add the vocal on or how the melody goes. Whereas I think with those two songs particularly, it was almost like the vocal helped dictated how that song would end up.
Mm-hmm. That makes total sense, especially like you said on Gramophone Remedy. That is such a sweet, fragile song, and it's an amazing way to close the EP.
I want you to love me like you've seen in a movie, like you've seen on TV. Yeah, I wanna be lonely, only for a second. That'd mean I had something waiting, I reckon.
I mean, it's so touching. And it's kind of like what I'm going to call the blossoming of jazz, because lyrically, it's one of the best songs that I think I've heard from you guys, and musically as well, because it's not bombastic. It's not just, chugging riffs and all. It's everything is done right where it needs to be done. And just enough, there's not a whole lot of, it's not overdone, I guess is the best way for me to phrase it.
I think a big worry I always had with it was if you strip things back and you make something really delicate and it's really soft, then it's really exposing, because people can look at it. There isn't like 4 guitars, a bass, extra percussion, backing vocals, everything, where it fills up every gap and it fills up every space. It can sound absolutely amazing, but it is less exposing than just a stripped back track like Gramophone Remedy. And the truth is that there's always that thing in the back of my mind going, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if it's going to sound any good. I don't know if it's going to fit what we are and what we do. And that track, I was literally messing around at home, and 98% of it I made up on the spot. Just I hit record.
Wow.
I found these chords and I just started making up lyrics. And I sent a copy of it across to Scott. I just said, I've just recorded this. What do you think? And he was like, that's great. I wrote about 2 more lines of lyrics for it, and then we recorded it.
Wow.
We did a demo really quickly one day at Andreas's.
Oh, yeah.
Where that was where the dynamic came from with what, let's say, inverted commas, chorus, with the drum and everything. So it came together really quickly. And then that was actually recorded here in this room we're at, in Mikey's, and Mikey plays guitar on that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice. It's one of my favorite songs that you guys have done. That, and I Want to Show You God, they're my 2 favorite tracks that you guys have recorded ever. So I love this new EP. And Mikey, have you noticed their approach to the music change over the course of the 2 EPs? Because you've been there basically since the beginning.
Well, expansion of instruments, more. The percussion's already been mentioned, acoustics, and I think so. There's more space on this second EP than the tracks. How to Buy Happiness, Want to Show You God, and Gramophone Remedy is a lot more space. The first EP is a lot more full on, bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
This second one's a lot more space. Even talking to myself is really expansive. When that chorus kicks in, the guitar goes super wide. It's just like a fucking horizon, just like kind of thing. You definitely put the second one on driving across the desert or something.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
the first one,
it's a bank heist.
Yeah, the bank heist, first one, second one driving across the desert. So yeah, I think the choice to have more space, and that's a bravery thing that comes with confidence, and because it's really easy to chuck the kitchen sink at tracks when you record it. A lot of bands will do that. It's sort of like, scared, and because it also allows the fragility of jazz's voice, particularly Grand Fire Remedy. But that's the performance, isn't it? It's beautiful.
Well, it's also a credit to your production.
Thanks, man.
Because you're not saying, hey, let's throw more on here. You're like, no. You're giving it just what it needs and just what the song requires.
Yeah, I suppose. And you're dealing with a lot of that in the mixing stage. So it's just kind of figuring out where everything sits and automating things, bringing things up and down, but front and back, that kind of.
And we did put some other ideas on with Gramophone Remedy, from what I remember, but
a lot of it.
The mixing stage, we purposely were thinking it's probably about taking this out. So it was about
Jazz's voice and Jazz's guitar, that rhythm guitar underneath, and then just supporting everything in a very tasteful way.
Yeah. Because I think what's great, and I think Andreas spoke about it before, especially in the length of time that they've known Mikey and how he's been involved right since the beginning. When we present, especially Grand Fire, we presented this track, and Mikey just said, "We're doing it like this," and it was great. Like I don't have to sit there and think about, is that going to be right? It's just what it comes down to is I trust that the process of the recording is going to be in our best interest.
Right.
And so like when we came in, Mikey just said, we're going to do it like this. You're going to sit there with that, do this, and then we're going to go. If Mikey says, no, we can do one more, we'll do one more. If Mikey says, I think that was the take, then that was the take.
Everything else is recorded in a studio. For a better word, this track was recorded here in Mikey's home studio.
Little layers. Normally they track as a band.
Oh, okay.
You kind of trying to get the drums and the bass, maybe some of the guitars, and then you're gonna redo stuff. I don't believe in this process of laying down the drums, laying down the bass, laying down the guitar. It's fucking boring. Everyone's sitting around forever, and it's not. It's about being a band, isn't it? Playing, breathing, pushing and pulling, But because of the nature of this one, it was all about getting Jazz's vocal performance supported by his guitar. So it made more sense to do it here. We didn't need to go to the studio. Where we needed a degree of relief from making a lot of noise, we could do it.
Intimacy.
Intimacy, exactly. So.
And not as many cigarettes.
Yeah, genuinely, it is the thing, which is partly why the vocals, when we record, Mike is like, we'll bring the vocals forward, because it's like, I can not smoke in the morning and then I can get the vocal lines down and then I can have a cigarette. It's like a reward.
Might I suggest a patch or nicotine gum?
You see, it's why have you guys not come to me with these practical solutions? What is it? You know what, Mark? That's it. That's the ticket. I'll get some. Next time we're in the studio, I'll get some nicotine gum so I don't have to smoke.
There you go.
Knitting stuff.
But I think the cinematic thing has always been such a big part of the way that I am looking at every track we write, which is. And that's what Gramophone Remedy is based on. It's based on me watching films with the most perfect soundtracks of the most perfect moments and believing like my life is going to be like this. You're going to have that moment of standing in the rain when, Riders on the Storm comes in. You're going to have that moment of like, kissing the girl as
camera.
Yeah. As like Elvis plays and it slowly comes out over the radio. It's like, it's not like that.
Right.
Yeah. You ever run 100 meters and share some fires and play in the background? No?
Carl has. Carl's a guy that lives here and he takes photos of them live.
Made some videos for us, actually.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
He shot the
Hoping music video he shot. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's a very awesome dude.
He looks like a runner from...
And it does look like a runner from Share Some Fire, basically.
Oh, good.
But we talk about the evolution of the sound, and if I was to look at it through a cinematic lens, that's why I said to Mikey, the first EP was like soundtracks to rob a bank to.
Yeah.
And then this one it has a real, like, it draws from Westerns because they're both.
It's just wide. It's so expansive.
Yeah.
The sparseness of places, of width. And I brought that in the mixing. I knew what they were trying to do, and it was important that the mixing reflected that. Talking about panning and reverbs and stuff like that, just to kind of.
I think my brother said when he heard How to Buy Happiness, like, oh, you've really been exploring your whammy bar, haven't you?
Hey, that's private.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's private. What I do in my own room is my business.
And whammy bar is man's business.
I'll be out in a minute. Come on now. So the EPs are kind of like the Italian Job into Wild at Heart, maybe.
That sounds very nice.
Wild at Heart, what a film. Yeah.
Couldn't default.
So yeah, I think that is it, because I think, again, the thing with Westerns is it's like you have the sort of the title hero who's going on like an epic journey, and it's usually chasing something.
Yeah.
And it's quite a lonely experience. You know, the vision of the American cowboy, just one man, a silhouette on horseback going into the sunset.
The Marlboro Man.
Yeah. Yeah. We should
Bringing cigarettes back into this.
18 minutes.
yeah, should have put the Marlboro Man.
It's the Marlboro Man.
So dare I say it's the maturing of modern guilt?
It's getting there.
Yeah. You'll have the midlife crisis of modern guilt next.
All right.
Yeah?
Excellent.
So you do your own pop album.
No, that's when the grindcore album comes out.
You'll be on your own for that.
I'm already doing my shoe.
So what's coming up next for you guys? Are you guys playing a lot of shows to support the album, or you looking for a keyboardist, I guess, maybe next?
Well,
We got a guy.
yeah, the keyboardist we've
Sorted.
We've had to find someone because we had a show in order to support the release.
Right.
And it's a shame that Glyn won't be playing it because obviously he wrote and recorded
Very instrumental in
this
God,
EP.
for example.
Yeah, I mean the keys under "I Want to Show You God" are a really core element of it.
Yeah.
He's a very good friend.
So it will be very strange for Glyn to no longer be part of the outfit, especially for the playing it on stage. So yeah, we do. We have a show.
We have a show. We have a guy, and it's going to be amazing. I mean, that's
Yeah, March the 6th is the EP launch show. Initially, our plan from the build up from now until the release was to be able to really focus on writing. Obviously, the change in personnel has meant that we've had to try and find a different keys player and then bring them up to speed. So we are kind of just being buffeted by the winds of change, you might say, Mark, and doing what we can.
I like the Scorpions reference.
Who doesn't?
I'm glad you said it.
That's all we're thinking right now.
Yeah, we just drop in some other sort of 80s.
First band
songs,
T-shirt
right?
I've ever owned was a Scorpions T-shirt.
Was it?
My brother gave it to me because he didn't like the Scorpions, and I was only 10, so I didn't know.
You didn't know.
I didn't know.
I didn't know what it meant.
10, man.
I didn't know what their fans were like. I didn't understand.
Yeah, he gave me that one, and he actually gave me an AC/DC T-shirt as well.
Okay, that's cool.
That's pretty good.
So it evens out.
That was the Fly on the Wall tour, actually. 1996. Good T-shirt.
I bought myself a Wham t-shirt recently.
That's cool. I have a Misfits T-shirt. It's not a T-shirt, is it?
Excellent.
Oh,
Welcome to T-shirt Talk
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
on Pantheon
Thanks,
Podcast
guys.
Network. So any plans to actually come to Vegas and play at some point?
That'd be pretty cool.
I would love to play through America.
We'll see what happens.
Well, we'd
later
love
in
to
the year.
have you.
Well, we were offered a spot at a festival in Dallas, but it's a visa issue.
It always is, and it's so fucking expensive. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. I know it's thousands of dollars per member to come over, and it's insane.
And that's before the cost of getting there. And it literally is. I think it's called New Fest down in Dallas, and they offered us. They were like, "Look, if you're here, great, and if you can sort the visas out, we'd love to have you."
Wow.
And I was like, "Appreciate it," but
They're pretty strict now, aren't they? They just look you up on social media.
It's insane.
It's
that
not
stuff,
like
actually.
back in the day when I jumped over and played CBGBs with no visa.
Well, I mean, technically, you can
What are you doing?
still do that.
Yeah.
You can still do that. Just don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Rent a little bit. Rent some equipment. You're fine.
Yeah, no,
I don't know what I'm doing on stage.
So the EP is coming out in March. What's the best way for people to find it, to buy it, to support you guys? And maybe we can raise enough money for you guys to come over and play a festival somewhere?
amazing.
I mean,
maybe we start a fund.
yeah, I think
Give us some money.
the best place, I think, through constructs like Bandcamp, I think in terms of the cut that people take, that's probably where the most amount of money comes through to us.
Right.
But really, if anyone's going to spend it, look, we're just happy if people stream it.
That would be.
We could put the account details up on the screen and maybe just
our bank account.
That'd be great.
Maybe
Bank transfer.
Yeah, I was also thinking, like, maybe if any listener here wouldn't mind listening to the EP about 40 to 50,000 times, we very much appreciate it.
Yeah, just create a playlist where you have all the tracks on repeat, and then you just mute your computer or your speakers.
They stop doing it. If it does, it doesn't. You don't get.
If it's muted,
No, yeah, they stop that.
Well, what if you just turn the volume down?
It literally stopped all of that. Even if you turn your volume down, Spotify knows your volume is down. They stopped all that
What
stuff.
the?
No,
Holy
because
shit.
Spotify. Yeah, no, they've done that because it was a bunch of artists who very cleverly launched all albums with just silence in order for them to be able to go on tour where people streamed it from. So then they would actually make actual music and give music to the fans. And they would just basically release playlists of their albums, which was effectively silence that they would be playing over and over again in the background. And obviously Spotify caught on to that. And now you can't do that. You have to listen to the full volume or whatever. And you have to listen to this all the way through in order for anybody to get that 0.000000001 cents.
Yeah.
but I think the fact is, like, if people want to spend more money than just being able to stream it, then we'll drop our bank details and they can just slide us cash rewards. Otherwise, it would be Bandcamp, I think, and obviously it'll be available to purchase on iTunes and all the other, gigantic, burgeoning, swollen conglomerates who control absolutely everything that we do in our lives.
Yeah.
We're looking at
You can rent it.
a limited physical copy, so
We're working towards that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Watch this space.
we'll hopefully sort that out as well.
So, and the social.
We'll get some behind the scenes. We'll get a little story from Andreas about something weird, maybe some
Whammy bar.
a whammy bar.
Oh, yeah.
We'll include extras with it just to make it really palatable for people. I don't know what those extras will be yet because I've just made this up now. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
It worked for the songs on the album, right? Worked for Gramophone Remedy. Just why not? Just keep going with that philosophy. What's the social media where people can follow you? People outside of the US can actually see a show. What's the best way for them to follow you guys and to keep track of you?
It's all at Modern Guilt Official. I think on all of our platforms. Twitter is different. I think it's _modern_guilt, but pretty much Modern Guilt Official.
Yeah. And obviously on YouTube, there's all our music videos. Some people have put up recordings of live performances that they've snapped because they just can't get enough, Mark.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, if you want to see us in all our glory, in the trousers, on the stage, doing
Or
the
without
thing.
the trousers, also on the stage.
Well, that's your...
We're not talking about your whammy bar anymore, Andreas.
Yeah.
No,
Andreas Whammy Bar, OnlyFans.
.com. There you go. Oh, there you go. That's one of the extras.
It's actually _whammy bar, but instead of an A, it's an at. Now you know. So 69.
And look, the fact is that we're very polite. We're very responsive. We like to get places on time. Most of the time, don't say anything. And if people, slide in the old DMs, like, you'll get a lovely response, and we'll chat.
I can attest to that.
I like a chat.
Just likes to.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for spending your evening with me and tell me about the album and how you guys have built a nice foundation, because everything now is going to be obviously built upon that. And what you're doing now is just reaping the rewards of the awesome foundation you've already built. So I love the EP, and I cannot wait to see what you guys do from here on out, because the trajectory is just huge. You guys are just sounding better and better at every release, and I absolutely love it.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. Thanks, Lee. That means a lot.
Got my future on an 8-track tape.